Periphery are back with their 8th studio album, A Pale White Dot. This concept album dives deep into themes of isolation and loneliness, taking direct inspiration from the famous A Pale Blue Dot image, along with Carl Sagan's famous reflection on it. On that tiny speck, everyone you love, everyone you know, every human being that ever lived out their lives. And they didn't just touch on the theme, they fully committed to it. They stripped their famous 3-dot logo down to 1 dot. And even their guitars feel lonelier, with much of the album played on 6-string baritones instead of their usual genty 8 strings. In this video, I'm going to take you through my thoughts track by track, starting with track 1, Obsession. It opens up with that whimsical, melancholic synth and some of Spencer's lower register. And then out of nowhere, gives you that 11 out of 10 surprise.
Doing, Jesse. Let's keep it moving.
Did not expect those tentacles.
And that is what we call a 15 out of 10
that
surprise.
Right there.
With that tremolo, almost black metal guitar, which I don't think we've ever heard from Periphery. It's a fun, well-rounded opener, which gives you a taste of the crushing baritone guitars, while still warning you you're in for a bit of a different experience with this Periphery album. Track 2, Talk. I love how groovy and chaotic the intro is for this song. It then transitions into those classic soaring Periphery melodies that make you feel home. Amidst the winding alleys this song takes you down, almost getting you lost at times, always ends you back home. Track 3, Mr. God. I wasn't sure what to think about this song being the first single off the new record, but the more I listen to it, the more I enjoy it. I love that relentless groove of that opening riff. It almost reminded me of that song from Juggernaut Omega, The Bad Thing. I think it represents the darkness of the album quite effectively, and I can see why they chose it as a first single. It makes a lot more sense in the context of the album. Apparently, the song is about a powerful being or person that ends up with everything, but then ends up pushing everyone away and becomes the architect of his own loneliness.
You know what you are? You remind me of the Wizard of Loneliness.
Track 4, Heaven on High. After the absolute onslaught of Mr. God, this is a well-needed refresher. You've got that ethereal, proggy lead guitar. It's one of those tracks where every section is in support of that beautiful chorus. I see this track as sort of like the first time they shine a light on the darkness and loneliness that they've painted. It's the first glimpse of the light at the end of the tunnel. Track 5, Unlocking. When I first heard this track, I straight up did not like it. I just found it way too repetitive and just not why I listened to Periphery. I didn't love Spencer's vocals. I was getting a bit tired of the lower register vocals, and his voice sounded a bit goofy, almost like Sleep Token or like kind of gothy. But after a couple of playthroughs, it ended up being a very memorable track from the album, and it grew on me more and more. However, it's definitely not one of my favorites. It feels a little stitched together. I think it almost would have been better leaning even more into the melodic side of it, without having the unnecessary stitchings of the heaviness and the sections that don't quite flow. But the melodic line, it's catchy, it's memorable. Definitely the highlight of the song. Track 6, Subhuman. I am a sucker for a heavy track, especially one served by Periphery. The guitar is so low, you almost trip over it. And what it lacks in clarity, it makes up for in groove. It's gritty, it's psychotic, it's deranged at times. And what better to cherry the cake than Will Ramos, the screaming man himself, to deliver us into evil. And let's not sleep on Spencer's vocals on this. He did not want to get shown up by Will, and I don't think he did. It was one of the best screaming performances I've heard from Spencer. Track 7, Blackwall. The synth on this song is gorgeous. It's luxury sports car advert ready. It just sounds expensive. The song is about an AI that is starting to develop consciousness, but not quite, and is experiencing loneliness for the first time. I've been playing a lot of Cyberpunk 2077 recently. So it made me visualize all the Blackwall scenes and cutscenes. But to me, this feels like more of a premium interlude song rather than a track in itself. Track 8, Malevolent. This was definitely one of the highlights and one of the most interesting songs for me. It reminded me of Periphery 2 in places. It's weaving and technical and grandiose in its structures. The melodies are innovative and exciting. Tracks like this are why I love Periphery. So ambitious and original. Track 9, Carry On. Spencer pushes his vocals to some lesser traveled roads, but the song doesn't flow as seamless as some of the other tracks. Not one of the strongest for me overall. However, it did have one of my favorite lyrical moments in These Walls Are Not Your Friends. That line goes hard. Track 10, Neon Valley. This song starts off so slow. It doesn't really get going until that hook comes in. But boy, when that hook comes in, it really grabs you. I like how it sounds like Spencer's almost playing call and response with himself. He sounds like two different vocalists. It tapped into a new territory poetry and emotion. However, overall, the track wasn't as cohesive as I would have liked. It just gets a little lost within itself. Track 11, Everyone Dies Alone. This is probably the most standout chorus on the whole record, and the rest of the sections really build that tension for that ultimate release in the chorus. And it's really strange because the lyric Everyone Dies Alone, which is sung in the chorus, is such a dark, depressing lyric, but the feeling that's evoked in that chorus is cathartic, and I think that's what makes this song great. And lastly, track 12, A Pale White Dot. I think it was refreshing to hear an acoustic instrumental song as a finale. The lack of a voice definitely helps it feel more lonely, like it's just one person with their guitar ending the story. Overall, this is probably Periphery's most cohesive and mature record, which wasn't hard considering their last two records were Gent Is Not a Genre and Hail Stan. But no, this one, Comedy's Out. It's a serious album on a serious matter. I like that it gives you the opportunity to relate to it on a silver platter. Every song is about loneliness, but it's not a drag. They cover loneliness through all different perspectives in a fresh, interesting way. I think it gives the songs a greater meaning and weight. And speaking of weight, those guitars crush you underneath it. It's refreshing to hear Periphery Baritone Edition. However, maybe due to this shift, the album is less progressive. More space and time is given to Spencer. His soaring highs are traded for somber low register vocals. To mimic the sound of loneliness, the creative decisions are guided to take instead of to give. It's interesting to hear Periphery in this new light, or should I say darkness. And I think the execution of this album was fantastic. I love the attention to detail and the commitment to the theme. But to be honest, I don't think it's their strongest album musically. Some of the songs end up feeling a little lost. And although it's so cohesive in its theme, it's not cohesive in its sound. But I don't think it's meant to be, because when you're feeling lonely, sometimes you feel lost. And sometimes you have to search for new meaning and search for new light. And through this journey and experimentation, there truly are some beautiful and refreshing moments. Periphery have purposely thrown away their blueprint and try and tap into that loneliness of feeling lost in the dark. Although I definitely prefer their more lofty, ambitious, dopamine-fueled adventures, I can't deny the talent and quality of their musicianship on this record. They're one of my all-time favorite bands, and maybe this album will grow on me over time. I've probably only heard it about 4 times so far. So yeah, don't hate me in the comments. I love this band so much, but those are just my honest thoughts. Let me know what you thought in the comments, and where would it rank in their discography for you? Drop a like on this video, hit that subscribe button, and we'll catch you in the next one.